Let's dive right into this explainer and unpack the layered, incredibly complex history of one of the most fiercely contested cities on the face of the earth. We're looking at a place that's ancient, unbelievably dense with meaning, and, as we all know, constantly in the headlines.
So here's the big question. Why does a single, geographically tiny city in modern-day Israel hold such immense religious, political, and historical power for literally billions of people? It's kind of staggering when you think about it. This tiny area has drawn the fierce devotion and sparked some of the bloodiest conflicts of three major world religions: Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. To make sense of all this, we're going to break it down into three parts. First, a timeline of who controlled what. Second, the layered history of the Temple Mount itself. And finally, the roots of today's modern conflict. Let's get into it.
Starting with Part 1, the timeline of control, basically a history of empires. The ancient volatility of Jerusalem is just mind-blowing. Let's trace it back. Around 1000 BC, King David conquers the city, setting it up as the capital of the Jewish kingdom. But then, by 586 BC, the Babylonians sweep in. They destroy the Holy Temple and force the Jewish people into exile. Next up, Alexander the Great takes control by 332 BC, which kicks off centuries of Greek, Persian, and Roman rule. Fast forward to 70 AD, and the Romans absolutely devastate the city, destroying the rebuilt Second Temple. It's this endless, exhausting cycle of building, destruction, and a massive transfer of power.
Now, heading into the Middle Ages and the modern era, control just keeps shifting between religious and imperial forces. In 1099 AD, Christian Crusaders capture the city. Then, jumping to 1516, the Ottoman Empire rolls in and starts a massive 400-year era of control. Following World War I, in 1917, the British take over. And that brings us to a huge pivotal modern turning point, 1948. Israel declares independence, and Jerusalem is literally split right down the middle for 20 years. Israel controls the west, and Jordan controls the east. But the absolute crucial point in modern history? That's the 1967 Six-Day War. This incredibly brief but history-altering conflict ended that 20-year division. Israel captured East Jerusalem, taking control of the entire Holy City, and really, that set the stage for the intense territorial disputes we are seeing right now.
Okay, moving to Section 2, the building history of the Temple Mount. We're zooming in on a very specific, very sacred 35 acres.
To truly understand this conflict, you've got to look closely at the Temple Mount. It is remarkably small, only about 35 acres. Yet within that tiny little footprint sits an unbelievably dense concentration of sacred architecture. We're talking the Western Wall, the Dome of the Rock, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, all packed together. It's absolutely fascinating to realize that Judaism, Islam, and Christianity all have deeply rooted, totally overlapping claims to this exact same plot of land. For Judaism, it's the holiest site on earth, intrinsically tied to Abraham and the ancient temples. For Islam, it's their third holiest site, revered as the place where the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven. And for Christianity, it's sacred for its Old Testament history, and of course for being a site that Jesus Christ himself actually visited. Let's walk through the architectural layers here, because history is literally stacked on top of itself. First off, King Solomon built the first Jewish temple. After it was destroyed, King Herod rebuilt the second temple around 37 BC, which, as we know, the Romans later destroyed. Centuries after that, in 691 AD under Islamic rule, Caliph Abdul-Malik constructed the iconic Golden Dome of the Rock. And this creates a practically impossible spatial puzzle. You see, the Golden Dome of the Rock was built directly over the foundations of the destroyed Jewish temple. Think about that for a second. Because these sacred buildings are literally constructed on top of one another's ruins, trying to draw clean political or territorial lines today is almost impossible. You simply cannot untangle the architecture. So today, these ancient structures sit right side by side. Because the mount itself is under Islamic control, the Western Wall, which is the surviving outer remnant of the Second Temple, has become the absolute holiest site where Jews can pray. Just above it, you have Al-Aqsa and the Dome of the Rock, both essential sanctuaries for Muslims worldwide. And nestled nearby in the Christian quarter is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, built around 300 AD, marking the site where Christians believe Jesus was crucified and resurrected. These sites are drawing millions of pilgrims from across the globe every single year.
All right, let's jump to Section 3, the roots of today's conflict. This is where ancient history fuels the modern political crisis.
Right now, both sides firmly claim Jerusalem as their rightful capital, and that creates a profound, seemingly unbreakable political stalemate. Back in 1980, Israel officially declared Jerusalem its undivided capital. Conversely, Palestinian groups have entirely opposing goals. For example, in 2017, Hamas proposed a Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital, while fundamentally rejecting Israel's existence entirely.
Because of these absolute, fiercely competing claims, even the day-to-day management of the Temple Mount requires a very fragile division of labor. Inside the compound, an Islamic trust known as the Waqf manages the religious activities and daily operations. But the second you step outside the compound, Israel controls the security perimeters. It's an incredibly delicate daily balancing act.
And the area is so sensitive that simply visiting it can ignite a massive historical event. We actually saw this in the year 2000, when Israeli leader Ariel Sharon, who later became prime minister, visited the Temple Mount. It was viewed by Palestinians as a severe provocation. That single visit was the spark that ignited the Second Intifada, a major and deeply tragic Palestinian uprising against Israel.
Currently, the tension is held in check by strict rules and deep existential fears from both sides about losing control of their holiest spaces. To keep the peace, Jews are technically prohibited from praying on the Temple Mount. However, Israeli forces do occasionally allow Jewish settlers to enter the area, and that fuels deep anxiety among Palestinians that Israel is slowly attempting a territorial takeover. Adding even more fuel to the fire, there are some Israeli groups openly proposing building a third Jewish temple right on the mount, and as you can imagine, that suggestion causes massive outrage among Palestinians. Now, internationally, the narrative has shifted dramatically in recent years. In 2017, US President Donald Trump officially recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital. This move was highly praised by Israeli leadership, but fiercely condemned by Palestinian allies who felt it completely undermined future peace agreements. The US actually moved its embassy there in 2018, and presently, President Joe Biden has maintained the embassy's location in Jerusalem, which just goes to show how deeply international politics are intertwined with the city's status.
As recent tragic events and ongoing clashes constantly remind us, the profound historical weight of the city continues to spark devastating modern violence. The intersection of these ancient religious beliefs and modern nationalistic goals means that tensions in Jerusalem basically remain at a boiling point, often erupting into frequent, deadly confrontations between Israeli forces and Palestinian groups. While some international organizations and countries propose dividing the city into specific zones for Israelis and Palestinians, finding a compromise that actually honors the deep faith of millions remains one of the world's greatest diplomatic challenges. Reaching an agreement that satisfies all parties has, at least so far, proven practically impossible. Which leaves us with a final, really profound thought to ponder. Can a city, claimed by so many empires, faiths, and nations over thousands of years, ever truly belong to just one? It's a question that has defined the region's history, and it is absolutely the one that will shape its future. Keep this incredible, layered history in mind the very next time you see Jerusalem in the news.